Video recording for EDUKWEST is provided by Whatburner. Take Skype video to the next level. Record, edit, upload at vodburner.com. So hi everybody and welcome EDUKWEST episode 71 with Josh Koppel, CEO and founder of ScrollMotion. And as every week we are on the search for better education. Josh, welcome to EDUKWEST. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. I'm actually the Chief Creative Officer and the co-founder. My partner is John Lima and he is the CEO, just to be totally clear.
Great. So then let's get right in the first question would you like to introduce yourself a little bit more in detail to our audience and, of course, the company, ScrollMotion?
Sure. I'm Josh Koppel, the co-founder and Chief Creative Officer of ScrollMotion. And ScrollMotion is a company that builds publishing platforms for iPads and iPhones and tablet devices. And we have created a series of different types of modalities for different types of print media, from kids' books to textbooks to magazines to corporate materials to trade books. And we basically have a way of, bringing publishing those in a platform for the iPad that's highly interactive, highly customizable, and being used by some of the biggest companies in the world today.
So having done my research on your company, it is, of course, let's say in an educational sense, that it is relatively new. So basically you have one main or core product in education for K-12 at the moment. Why with such a past and so many titles in various other markets and niches, why did you decide on doing something in education, or specifically K-12?
Well, if you actually go on the, if you're looking at print media and you're looking at the hierarchy of complexity, right, textbooks are actually the most complex type of print media. So if you start with, a trade book, let's go even further back. Start with a trading card, right, a card that, two-side piece of cardboard. Then go to a trade book, which is, essentially like text. Then go to a kid's book, which is graphics. Then go to a magazine, which is, graphics plus text. Then go to a textbook. You're that's the hockey stick of complexity in print media. And our goal as a company was to be able to sort of do anything that you possibly could want on a device like the iPad. And that's exactly what we did, and we kept pushing the technology and the creative and the content experience further and further until we sort of, textbooks is the last part of that journey, and we have one core product in the marketplace, but there's a lot of other stuff happening that we're not yet really able to talk about, but that product was a very, and we're talking about the HMH Fuse product, is a big deal in K through 12 education because it's the first textbook to be used inside American public schools, and that's really we were pushing towards that goal.
Great. Before getting more into the product, I'd like to get your general opinion or a general take on the importance, seeing the coming months or the future of education, online education, and iPad. Do you think most public schools will be working with the iPad, and what's your general feeling about that when talking about also budget cuts and taking all this complexity in the public school system into account?
I mean, I think that when you look at the iPad and you look at the way that a child or a student is engaging on the iPad, you realize that this is a transformational moment in technology and humans. You know, that this is one of those next steps that we take in technology, like computers, like the internet, right? And, you know, we are at the very beginning of this. But, you know, when you start to see that, you start to think about what it takes to get a book into a kid's hand, right? That next year is going to change anyway, right? Or the year after, right? And that to sort of take the inefficiency out of the physical product, take that out of the marketplace. There's a lot of cost savings to be made, and when you couple that with the fact that it's way more engaging, and that kids that are using the iPad, and, you know, the tests of the results of the year-long test that our product is being used inside California schools has not yet been officially verified, in the sense that the results are not out, but the early results have been leaked. Okay. And I mean, we're seeing things like kids that were, you know, scoring, 60% of the kids that were scoring the proficiency in the proficiency range with a textbook, you know, are now with a digital book scoring in the 90% range. Yeah. That's profound.
Yeah, I read that story as well, and I think probably schools can also count on the parents in that sense, that I think every household, or let's say most of the households where the parents can afford it, are going to buy an iPad for personal use, and of course for kids' use as well. And then the other thing, speaking about why it is more efficient to learn with a digital version of a traditional textbook, I think you referred to the complexity in making it in your previous answer. So how do we have to imagine the process of transforming this textbook for algebra, and how long did it take?
Well, we were on a very tight timeline. We only had about 3 months to do it. And, you know, what we were trying to do was essentially we're trying to work with, you know, Houghton Mifflin's pedagogy experts, with their, with their writers of textbooks, and they're experts in making content. And our goal there was to essentially look at a page, you know, look at all the different things that happen on a page, or a chapter, like adding and subtracting odd and even numbers, right? So what you do is you start looking at how the steps in which they're teaching, right? And it starts with something like what they call an Are You Ready quiz, which is a quiz that you take before you even start the chapter to see if you're at the proficiency level to even begin. Mm-hmm. And then, there's things like the way that a problem is explained, right? You know, the example of the problem, the text with the explanation next to it, or the problem sets inside it. We were able to sort of look at all those elements and think about how you could make touch, or, you know, instant remediation, or quizzing, you know, or note-taking, just how you could bring those features into the experience. And, and it was a great experience for us, because, you know, we had spent so much time thinking about these problems in places like, you know, magazines, in places like kids' books. You know, we were able to use this whole sort of bag of tricks that we had brought to the table, and add new tricks, like, you know, quizzing and analytics, and, you know, things that we hadn't needed to build yet, but we're then allowed to build for this product. And it was really great. I mean, it was a wonderful collaboration between us and the smart people at HMH, because, you know, we were able to just kind of build the textbook that we wanted to see.
Mm-hmm. And do you think the explanation that kids' success in learning with the digital version is higher than with the traditional one is really in this richer experience that it's particularly important for children, or do you see other aspects more in society evolving into this state that we are so used to at the beginning of getting used to our iPad in various ways of our everyday lives so much that it is sort of the logic step to integrate it in the classroom and maybe do less with traditional textbooks?
Wow, that is a great question. I like the idea of human evolution. You know, our reptilian selves. You know, I just feel like I feel like it's both, right? Yes, we are careening through space and time, and it is having a profound effect on our brains. And I feel like when you look at a child using an iPad, it's like you realize that, oh my God, these are not for us; these are for them. That we're building the tools that future generations are going to be using, and we're going to be using much better than us. But at the same time, it's also that this technology is so innate, right? That what Apple has done in creating the iPad and in bringing multi-touch to a wide consumer audience is to basically remove the barriers of what made computers distant, what made them difficult to use. And they've made it simple, and they've made it elegant, innate, and they've given the world the tools to use these same kinds of technologies so that we can make things with them. And I just feel like, you know, it is human evolution that's pushing us forward and changing our brains, but it's also definitely this technology too. It's a kind of combination of the two.
I'd agree, and I think with the iPad now it has become quite clear that we are in the post-PC era, and that is probably going into that direction only, like mobile, touch, tablets. I think in society, as you said, and as learning is always, or education is always part of that, so it'll come increasingly to the classrooms as well. And generally speaking, there's of course a lot going on in the digital textbook space, also textbook rentals, and I mean also a quite competitive market, I think. And I'm even not part of it, so having a look at it a little bit from the outside. How would you position yourselves when we talk companies like Check, No, of course, or also Inkling? So where do you see ScrollMotion in this whole ecosystem?
I think that we are, you know, when you compare us to people like CourseSmart or Chegg or No, I think we're creating much more interactive experiences, closer to Inkling, right? But I feel like where we're different than Inkling is we're also we're able to really scale these processes and really make books in bulk. And because we have a great deal of experience sort of adding interactivity to to all these to all these different types of modalities like magazines. I mean, we produce Oprah and Esquire and American Banker and Harry Potter, and we produce all these books all the time, and they're highly interactive because we design tools that allow companies or allow our own employees to build these things easily. And I think that, I think we sort of sit in between. Like, we are highly interactive books, but also highly scalable, and and the ability to sort of bring volume to the table.
That's what I'm definitely a little bit worried about when thinking of Inkling. I think the quality is definitely there, but I'm afraid or a little bit worried, let's say, about scalability. Whereas on the other hand, of course, you see no pumping out title over title and having the scalability, although I don't know exactly about the quality there. So you think, or as you said, maybe you can precise this a little bit. How do the tools you developed with ScrollMotion work that you are able to build within 3 months the digital version of a textbook? So having the scalability but not losing on quality.
That's our special sauce. I mean, we did all those different types of reading materials, for this screen first, right? I mean, this is where it all began. And, we just kept, my partner, John Lima, is an automation expert and has spent, years and years and years building things like banking software and, workflow management. And we applied those same notions of automation to publishing. And, how can you, build, highly interactive experiences that where you can build them in bulk. And for us, that really ultimately becomes about tools, about giving people tools. And, a lot of these tools are internally used, but they're getting out into our customers too.
So if I'm not mistaken, you have an overall of now 11,000 apps. So one app or book is then the educational one. As you said, for the last year, it has been sort of tried out and kids learned with in California classrooms. Is it so promising that public schools say we will take more on this and that you look now deeper into education? Maybe you can tell us a little bit, do you target the schools or the teachers only, or do you also think this might be something for parents who might want to purchase this in the App Store, or maybe if you have that in the making, some of the future textbooks you are probably going to develop?
For Houghton Mifflin, there's actually a bunch of other titles out there right now. There is Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry. We also have we've got some other projects coming down the pike that have not really been publicly announced yet, so I'm not really able to talk about them specifically. But just to say that there's more larger volume that'll be really engaging. The second part of your question is who are we dealing with? And are there going to be more schools that are doing this project? Absolutely. There's a number of them that I'm, because I'm also not the publisher, right? We are not. Another huge difference between us and the other competitors is that, we're not the retailer. We're really powering the publisher to be the retailer. And in some ways, we think that's a really, really beneficial thing for a company like, these educational companies are not young companies, right? They're over 100 years old in some cases, right? And we feel like it's very important that, that they need to not be disintermediated by a third party, and that it's very, very beneficial for, a publisher to be the entity that is having the relationship with the students. And I don't mean to say that to subvert Apple, because Apple ultimately really has that relationship, but to have just for the publisher to be able to engage the students, I think is really, really important. And I think especially now, as anything has become, this is a moment to have a brand, and a moment not to basically get disintermediated.
Couldn't agree more. So for our audience who would like to find out more about what you guys are doing, where should they go? I mean, of course, the website is scrollmotion.com. What are the other good places to engage with you?
Right now, the best place to engage with us is our website at this moment. All you need to do, you can also give us a call. We are, we have a bunch of different types of engaging ways to deal with us. You can also send us a letter send letters to us, and we will always, we have an educational sales force that is willing and ready to answer your questions or calls.
Very cool. So thank you so much, Josh, for coming on EDUKWEST today and educating us about how to build interactive textbooks and something students love learning with today.
Thank you very much for having me.